Arlington National Cemetery is our nation's premier military cemetery, honoring the service and sacrifice of our men and women in uniform.
Arlington National Cemetery is over 150 years old. We have Americans from every conflict, going back to the Civil War, laid to rest here.
Today, nearly all of the 22 million living armed forces members and veterans are eligible for only about 95,000 spaces.
This is where we say thank you for those who have served. We honor their families and their commitment to service and sacrifice. There's something special about an experience of a family who comes here and sees that flag being folded, hears taps, listens to the firing party, and sees that iconic caisson moving past them. That really embodies what Arlington is all about. And keeping it active means keeping it available for those burials that I just described.
The hard reality is we are running out of space. Without any changes in eligibility, we will be full for first burials by the year 2041. So to be able to keep Arlington National Cemetery open and active well into the future, which we define as 150 years, then we're going to have to make some tough decisions and restrict the eligibility.
The National Defense Authorization Act requires the Secretary of the Army, in consultation with the Secretary of Defense, to propose revised criteria that will keep ANC an active burial ground. Years of outreach have guided the decision-making process.
This has been a very lengthy and deliberate process that has been done in the public domain. We have a federal advisory committee at Arlington National Cemetery, an independent body mandated by Congress to look at very substantive issues related to the cemetery, and they have looked at the question of eligibility for many years. We have done public surveys that garner input and feedback from military service organizations, veteran service organizations, and community-based elements. We've also made sure to hear from the active duty component who serves today. And by and large, 95% or more want Arlington to not only remain open, but remain open and active well into the future. And that feedback that we have gotten has been part of the Secretary's deliberations and part of our discussions going forward.
To help navigate these challenges, the Secretary established 3 imperatives: sacrifice, service, and impact to our nation's security. The proposed eligibility criteria, established by the Secretary of the Army, honors commitment to military service and is equitable across branches and eras of service. Revised criteria should also be easily understood, fair, meet congressional intent, and be consistent with ANC's mission.
So the administration and Congress required the Secretary to establish these criteria before 30 September of 2019. But to actually implement the criteria, we have to do what's called rulemaking. So we will publish the draft rule in the Federal Register for public comment. Once we get through those comments and adjudicate the comments, then we will publish the final rule. At that time, the criteria will be effective.
This rulemaking process takes a minimum of 9 months and includes interagency staffing, review, and a public comment period.
This is a lengthy process, but it's another opportunity for those who are invested in what Arlington is to them to have a voice and a say for what Arlington needs to be in the future. We're very proud to have this discussion in the public forum, and we look forward to all your input as we work this very difficult problem.
In addition to preserving 1,000 grave sites for current and future Medal of Honor recipients, the proposed revised eligibility criteria for those who honorably served our nation are as follows. Below ground interment. Killed in action, to include repatriated remains of service members. Award recipients of the Silver Star and above who also served in combat. Recipients of the Purple Heart. Combat-related service deaths while conducting uniquely military activities. Former prisoners of war. Presidents and Vice Presidents of the United States. Veterans with combat service who also serve out of uniform as a government official and made significant contributions to the nation's security at the highest levels of public service. Above ground interment. World War II era veterans, to include legislated active duty designees. Retirees from the armed forces who are eligible to receive retired pay but are not otherwise eligible for interment. Veterans who have served a minimum of 2 years on active duty and who have served in combat. Veterans without combat service who also served out of uniform as a government official and made significant contributions to the nation's security at the highest levels of public service. Any changes to ANC eligibility criteria will not impact Department of Veterans Affairs burial benefits or veteran eligibility at the 137 Veterans Affairs National Cemeteries and the 115 state veteran cemeteries. Arlington National Cemetery will continue to actively engage stakeholders in the important decisions impacting the future of the cemetery. More information at www.arlingtoncemetery.mil.